Yo, what is going on, everybody? Executus here, coming at you with a 6.2.4 Destro Warlock guide. Now, in this guide, I'm going to be going over everything you need to know to be doing the most damage and one-shotting all those noobs in PvP. Now, I'm not going to do any cuts. I'm not going to edit this. I just don't care enough. So, let's hop right into this. So, first thing we're going to talk about is our stat priority. Main thing we want to stack is critical strike. Now, do not base your gear off of my gear, as I am spec'd for affliction, but in terms of gear, we want as much crit as possible, going with crit strike and mastery as our secondary stat. Now, talents. What we want for level 15 talents: Searing Flame, level 30 Shadow Fury or Mortal Coil, both work very well. Level 45 Sacrificial Pact. It's just the best. You can use Dark Bargain too, but it's on a 3-minute cooldown. It's kind of a long cooldown. Level 60, we're going to be going with Blood Horror or Unbound Will. I prefer Blood Horror because I always fight melee. I always fight melee, and this is perfect. It's an instant cast Fear. Level 75, we're going to be going Grimoire of Sacrifice. Grimoire of Sacrifice, I prefer that over everything else in Destro because it increases our damage, it increases our health, increases our healing. Level 90, Archmon's Darkness. Dark Soul now has 2 charges, and level 100 Chart remains. As for glyphs, we're going to be going with Glyph with Conflagrate and maybe Glyph of Hellstone. The rest is completely up to you guys. I do like Glyph of Eternal Resolve, but that gets rid of our free cast Chaos Bolts. Next, I'm going to show you guys your rotation. So our basic rotation for a Destro Warlock is we're going to open with an Immolate. We're going to cast 2 Conflagrates. Then we're going to cast maybe 3 Incinerates. And then we're going to parp our Dark Soul plus our PvP Trinket and just do mad damage here. Now, something to keep in mind is that every time you Conflagrate, you get this backdraft, reduces the cost, reduces the cast time of Incinerate and Chaos Bolt. So it's either 3 Incinerates or it's 1 Chaos Bolt. Some other things that we're going to be looking at is Havoc, and we're also going to be looking at Undenying Resolve. So our macro, our basic Havoc macro, is just hashtag show tooltip Havoc and then /cast target equals focus Havoc. So let's say I have the healer here and I have the DPS here. If I want to cast a Havoc on this target without having to physically tab to it or click on the target, I can just use that macro I showed you and cast it on there, and my next 3 spells or 1 Chaos Bolt will also hit this target. So if I cast Chaos Bolt, it'll hit both targets. Alright, another thing to keep in mind is that, let's say we're getting hit by the enemy. We have Sacrificial Pact. It's a huge shield, 378,000 damage absorbed. That is awesome. We also have Banish. Now, if you are fighting other Warlocks in 3v3 comps, you always want to banish their pet because I guarantee they're going with Grimoire of Supremacy or their talent. In terms of pet and what we want to sack, I always take the Fell Hunter because it allows us to get a spell lock, which is the most helpful thing when fighting against casters. Other things to keep in mind, we have Demonic Circle. Generally want to place it behind a pillar, and yeah, we have Dark Intent. And okay, also best thing to keep in mind, if you guys need to heal, cast a Havoc on any other target and then spam your Conflagrates and your Incinerates. This allows us to get full Burning Embers in about 5 casts, I'd say. And when you do that, you cast your Ember Tap, heals you for 53k pretty much every time. 53k. It's fat healing. Alright, so I think that concludes this guide. It's a pretty short one. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I just went over very basic DPS rotation, stat priority, talents, and glyphs. I don't know what else I can cover. The only thing that you guys maybe have questions about is some of the abilities. Now, if you guys are in a PvE raid, it's always good to use Fire and Brimstone because it basically makes every single one of our spells here in an AoE. So if I cast my Immolate with Fire and Brimstone, it costs 1 Burning Ember, puts an Immolate on every single target you see. Incinerate, every time I cast Incinerate, it attacks all enemies in that area. And when I use Conflagrate, it's basically an AoE Conflagrate. And when I cast Chaos Bolt, it attacks all enemies. It costs 2 Burning Embers. Casts all enemies. Hits all enemies within that radius. Other things to keep in mind. Shadow Fury is perfect. It's a 3-second stun and allows you to cast a fear when you need to. When you Blood Horror, it costs 5% of maximum health, so don't use that at low HP. And the most important thing is when you Sacrificial Pact, please always use it at full HP. You never ever want to use it when you're very low because it doesn't do anything. Sacrificial Pact is based off of your total health, and it takes a percentage of your health to convert into a shield. So when I use this at full health, it takes 20% of my health to give me a 400k shield. But when I'm at 5% health, it only gives me a 5% shield, and I'm pretty much dead. Alright, that concludes it for the guide. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment section below like I already said. Last thing before I go, I just want to mention that you guys have this ability called Undenying Resolve. It hardens your skin, reducing all damage taken by 40%, granting immunity to interrupts and silences for 8 seconds. Now, if a melee person, if a warrior is on you constantly, and he just interrupts every single one of the Chaos Bolts that you cast, you know, boom, I get kicked or whatever, we can fear him and then use our Undenying Resolve to basically get a free Chaos Bolt. Any spells for the next 8 seconds cannot be interrupted unless you're CC'd. So keep that in mind. Just one last thing before I go. You guys have your Infernal. It's a 10-minute cooldown, can only be used in random battlegrounds and world PvP. When you spawn it, it stuns all enemies for about 3 seconds, and then if you attack an enemy, it creates this AoE like Hellfire, and attacks the enemy for you. We also have your Doom Guard. Summons a Doom Guard for 1 minute to assault the target with Doom Bolts. It's just it's like a Shadow Bolt. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.